all loosened up for our last speaker of the night. So we have, for our last speaker, she's a freelance copywriter at katymancelcarter.com. But let me get these. So this speaker is the one that is coming from all the way from UK, just for us. And she actually fucked up even before she even got on stage because we asked for 3 unique facts and she gave us 5. But I'm going to read them all. The first one is she actually spent her last Christmas. Get everyone's attention, guys. She spent her last Christmas on a ferry, and for her Christmas dinner, she ate pot noodle, wasabi peas, and Magnum ice cream. That was her Christmas dinner. She also has trekked solo 630 miles with a backpack and a tent. Sounds pretty far. She has 7 attempts to pass her driving test. So if you see her on the roads, you might want to avoid her. She has an emotional connection to pizza. I feel like a lot of people do, but I didn't catch her when she was over there. I don't know what was going on when she was having her pizza. And then she has an intense love for the early works of Craig David. I don't know who it is, but apparently some of you guys do. So anyway, put your hands together for our last speaker, Katy Mancell Carter, all the way from UK.
Thanks for that. It's actually pronounced Craig David. So my story begins about 3.5 years ago. Picture the scene. I'm 25 years old. I've just moved to the super cool city of Bristol in the UK. And I've just landed the biggest campaign of my career to date. It's safe to say I'm feeling pretty happy with myself. The hills really were alive with the sound of music. The campaign in question was a collaboration between 2 fairly well-known brands in the UK organic food sector, which is somewhere where I'd been building a nice little niche for myself over the previous year or so. We'd done all of those preliminary introduction meetings, and they were over the moon with what I presented. They were really on board with the strategy, and I was really happy with the fee. And in short, I was teed up for what was going to be my best year ever. I was buzzing. I felt like I'd arrived and that this was really it. Now, if you're sensing a but at this point, then you're very perceptive because my brain had other ideas. Once it had sunk in what an amazing opportunity I'd arranged for myself, my brain then tried to do absolutely everything in its power to convince me of the following: that I wasn't good enough, that my work would never be good enough, that I was weak, that I was an imposter, and that everyone was just waiting for me to fail. Thanks for that, brain. You massive D-bag. So what started out as what I would call normal work-related anxieties, so perhaps agonizing a little bit too long over some email wording or struggling to drop off the night before a big presentation, very quickly got out of hand. I spiraled quite rapidly into a very destructive pattern of thoughts and behaviors. I bit my nails until they bled and scabbed over, and then I picked them until they bled again. I hung out my window, chain smoking until I retched. And I couldn't sleep at night, and I could hardly function during the day. I'm glad you find that funny. The weeks went on, and the anxiety spiral whirled faster and faster. By this point, I couldn't really use a keyboard without my hands shaking. I violently threw up as I tried to leave the house to go to meetings. And when my phone rang, I would have a panic attack. Now, I don't know how many people in this room have experienced a panic attack before, and I must stress that it's very different for different people. But for me, it went something a little like this. And this isn't to make you kind of pity me or anything. It's just to get across what a physical thing anxiety can be. So, first of all, I would get pins and needles in my hands, and my forearms would feel like lead, and sometimes my feet too. Then I would get numb in my jaw. It would feel like my teeth are going to fall out, and the bottom of my mouth would fill up like with saliva. It was like when you get an anesthetic at the dentist, basically. And then the breathing attack would come. My heart would be beating uncontrollably. I couldn't get a handle on my breath. It's kind of like struggling against someone as they suffocate you for 15 minutes. Sometimes it literally feels like you're going to die. It's exhausting and it's terrifying. So after about 4 weeks of missed calls, missed meetings, and heavily adjusted deadlines, I was invited in for an urgent review meeting. The day came, I couldn't make it in, and I couldn't communicate why that was. So it was no big surprise when later that day I received an email to tell me that I was now relieved of my duties. I didn't get to finish what I'd started. I didn't get to put my name to anything. I didn't get paid. And I really screwed up my big opportunity. That's an understatement. So there comes a point when you're experiencing anxiety so acute that it's stopping you from leaving the house and holding on to work, that you have to kind of get real with yourself and address what's going on. But I was not ready to do that. No. Give me denial, please. I figured that the knots in my stomach would somehow just magically untie themselves. So I took the easy route and I went pegging it straight back towards my comfort zone like a lightning bolt. I got a job as a waitress. I gave my crappy relationship third, fourth, and fifth chances. And I spent a lot of time at the pub, to be honest. I was pretty bored, but it was easy, it was familiar, and I could keep my food down and leave the house again. So as far as I was concerned, life was golden once more. But then something really annoying happened. I spotted an amazing opportunity, and I couldn't take my eyes off it. I was so excited. I'd wanted to work for this company since I was about 18, and given my previous experience, I kind of thought, I've got a good shot at it. So I threw my hat into the ring, bearing in mind I'd had a bit of a rest by now and I was feeling a bit more positive again. And I got it. And it was a full-time marketing and content position with this brand in the UK, which was growing, and I was a big fan of theirs, and I was just over the moon. So I started the job, and And it was going amazingly. I was kicking some ass. I was writing some sweet articles. I was getting noticed. I was making some friends. Things were going well. But then the second but came in. It wasn't long until my brain was up to its old tricks again. And funnily enough, nothing had changed. I hadn't addressed the problem, so guess what? The problem hadn't gone away. I'm an intelligent woman, but geez, slow learner. But I loved the work. I loved the work, and I was able to kind of keep it together for a while. But then the panic attacks came back again, and it wasn't very long until a pivotal moment presented itself. It was towards the end of what had been quite a rocky week, and I had come back from my lunch break, and I was coming up the stairwell. My office was on the top floor, and I had a panic attack in the stairwell, and the managing director of the company found me sat on the bottom step as I was getting my breath back, and he asked me to step outside. He wanted to know what was going on. I don't know what he thought was going on. And I realized I had to open up, and I had to take a leap of faith. And I did it. I came clean, and I reached out, and I admitted to him, but more importantly to myself, that I wasn't very well. So I was very lucky. The managing director in question was one of the most compassionate people I've ever had the privilege of working for. He told me that everything was going to be okay and that the business was going to help support me as I recovered. And in the end, all it took was a few deep breaths. And a course of anti-anxiety medication, a course of cognitive behavioral therapy, a few trips to a psychotherapist to work out what the cause of the anxiety was in the process, in the first place, and then a strategized return to work and some safe hours to work from home each week so that I wouldn't burn myself out again. Once the fog started to clear, I was able to continue to make some changes. So I improved my diet, I cut down and then eventually stopped smoking. I even gave up alcohol, which is remarkable seeing as I grew up in a pub. And I basically just cut away all the crap in my life that wasn't serving me anymore. I got rid of about 90% of my possessions. I stopped saying no to, I started saying no to stuff that didn't rock my world. And all of these changes just made the most phenomenal difference. So I fully returned to work, and I felt on top of the world. I ended up going on to produce some of the work that I'm proudest of in my career for that company. I even challenged the directors to their actual faces about some sustainability issues within the company, and they listened to me. This time, this really was it. I was back in the driving seat of my own life again. So, fast forwarding to the present day, and my comfort zone continues to be a fond but distant memory. Here I am in a brand new city, in a brand new country, in a brand new continent, living with my fiancé, and I'm speaking to a room full of people I don't know about a time I felt really vulnerable, with a picture of Craig David behind me because I love him. But there are a couple of reasons that I did specifically want to share this with you, this evening. First of all, to anyone who's got an invisible illness, just because it's not really obvious what's wrong from the outside, it doesn't mean that you have to stay quiet, and it doesn't mean that you have to stay ill either. 11% of Canadian adults are diagnosed with some kind of anxiety on the spectrum, and of those, a quarter report that they experience real challenges in social and work situations. So chances are, looking at the room, there's 3 or 4 people who perhaps really do know what I'm talking about here. Also, a note to employers. Perhaps I know that getting shit done in your business is the #1 priority, but it's people doing that for you, not robots. And sometimes it's easier to point a finger than it is to hold out a hand. It might just be the lifeline that your employee needs. But lastly, this is for me. This is for myself. One moment, caller. Weirdly enough, experiencing acute anxiety hasn't been all bad. There have even been some positive side effects. I'm more empathetic and I'm a better listener than I was before. And those are both skills that really serve me in my work as a marketer and as a writer. I'm also much less judgmental, and I find it easier to build a rapport with people that perhaps I would have been intimidated from in the past. But most importantly, I learned how to ask for help. And I don't mean, can you help me move this couch type help? I mean proper, important, big girl stuff help. And do you know what? It turns out people love helping. And asking for help has allowed me to build proper, meaningful connections. And I've got some of the most amazing relationships since reaching out to people more. So listen up, brain. We can do better. Just because I fucked up opportunities in the past does not, for one single second, mean that I don't deserve the same success and happiness as everyone else. Thanks.
Yeah. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love the...
My hands are sweaty.
You did awesome. You did awesome. Lots of goodness in there for our last Q&A. So I challenge you guys to dig deep and come up with some really awesome, deep... Hey, see, I see some tears. I'm not going to point them out, but I told you guys. I told you guys emotions would be had, huh? Anyway, so Q&A. Yeah. Got a few.
I feel bad asking you, mate, because I might be one of the only people in here that you actually know in real life.
Hello.
But as a fellow anxiety and depression, I don't want to say sufferer, endurer.
Experiencer.
Let's go with that. What are your strategies now for dealing with it when it comes up for you?
So I think that one of the things that I did that really served me was I cut out a lot of the crap that was contributing to the noise and the overwhelm in the first place. So that meant bye-bye LinkedIn notifications. It meant bye-bye a load of crappy friends who didn't really care about me. And it meant an extended vacation from Facebook. But I guess like the thing that I use most in my day-to-day life is all about managing expectations. So I used to say yes to everything. I used to be like, yeah, of course, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll take that on. And I had no plan for how the hell I was going to fit it all into my life. And Jesus Christ, like I was always stressed. How am I going to do all this shit that I've taken on? And now I am much better at being really clear with people what I can do for them and when I can do it. So yeah, setting expectations and boundaries has definitely been probably like the biggest thing that I've learnt to do.
I think you're a baller.
Thanks.
Hi. I first just wanted to say you were really brave for sharing that, and thank you.
Thank
You said
you.
your hands were sweaty after, but my eyes were sweaty after your speech.
Mine nearly got sweaty.
My question is, what would have been helpful for people to have said to you to reach out if maybe you weren't ready to reach out or they didn't know what you were going through? How could they have helped anyway?
I don't know, that's really hard because like if I'm honest, like, you know, my friends and my family, they did make attempts to reach out to me. But it wasn't until I kind of actually acknowledged the fact that I was in need of some help that I was able to kind of not brush it off. You know, my poor mum. But yeah, I don't know. I think I think it's partly why I wanted to sort of speak this evening, because statistically there are going to be a couple of people in this room who are having a really, really shit time at the moment, and maybe just kind of hearing from someone who kind of validates what they feel. I wish that I'd sort out the little pockets of the internet that are supportive, because I've found them now. Giving up booze is a weird thing. It makes people act very strangely around you. But I found an amazing little pocket of Instagram, which is full of other sober chicks, and we share a lot of cool memes. It's pretty fun. So yeah, I would say find like a loving pocket of the internet until you're ready to accept the help of the real people, because it's much scarier to accept help from those people that you actually love.
Thank you.
Hand over there in the back.
Hey, thanks so much
Hey.
for sharing your story. From your story, it sounds fairly simple. You reached out for help and everything, along with a lot of classes. Things were great, but I'm sure it must have been a journey. And what got you through that? Did you have faith, or did you just persevere without faith?
I'm not a religious person, if that's what your question means.
Oh, not at all. As in, like, believing that it would work out versus I don't know if it's going to work out.
Well, I still don't really know if it's going to work out. Like, but for now, it's fine. I think one of the things that I used to really do was chronically overthink, and I've got much better at just focusing on what's going on now. My partner will tell you I'm probably super annoying in the evenings, because I come home and I go, and today I did this, and today I did this, and today I did this, and now we're going to watch this program, and that's like it. Before I would have been like, oh shit, tomorrow I've got to do that, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after, and I created like this momentum of overwhelm. And I think kind of breaking that habit and focusing on what's going on, like right now, what I did today, and what I'm going to watch on Netflix tonight, like that's enough to focus on. And yeah, I don't know, just kind of really cutting out all of that noise has allowed me to kind of take it just one day at a time, rather than, okay, I need to be better forever now. It's like, no, I'm just going to be better today.
I feel you.
I have a quick one for you.
Shoot.
You kind of, I feel like you just glanced over, but to me it stood out a little bit. I think you mentioned during your transition that you got rid of like 90% of your stuff. Could you expand on that? Is that something that you still do? What did it mean
Well, do you
for
know
you?
what? That was kind of like, that's the most recent thing that I've done. And it coincided with this coming to Canada thing, because it's really expensive to ship shit. But actually going through the process, and I did the usual stuff. I found the Minimalist podcast and did the 333 challenge for your wardrobe, and I'm making light of it because we're trying to have fun here, but that stuff is awesome and everyone should do it. So what I did to get rid of my stuff was I actually invited like 12 friends round. Me and my partner made them a great big roast dinner, and then we got all of my stuff out in the living room and kind of almost had like a bit of an auction. Only I just gave it away. And now that I'm here and they're thousands of miles away, sometimes they send me little photos saying, oh, I made a recipe in the book that you gave me, or, oh, I wore that dress tonight. And it's weird. It's kind of like by letting go, not only have I got rid of the stress of, oh, how am I going to ship this? And where's it all going to go? And is our apartment that I've never seen before going to be big enough to hold it all? That's gone. Plus, I've also got like a little tie to those people who I can't see at the moment, which is a really nice feeling because being the new kid is hard. Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Katy. Maybe another round of applause for all three of our amazing speakers tonight.